Hello, welcome to the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast. My name is Dean Jackson, and today we revisit an old friend from our Breakthrough DNA program, uh, Tom Halliburton. Tom's in Edinburgh, Scotland, and he works with restaurant owners to help them increase their business. And we had a really great discussion about birthday programs and about the psychology that you have to get restaurant owners to buy into, which is this whole idea of essentially more cheese, less whiskers. So we've had a lot of experience in doing and experimenting with different things around birthdays in restaurants. So I shared a lot of those stories and the psychology behind them. And we had a really great game plan that we were able to put together throughout the call. So enjoy this episode. And if you know any restaurant owners, please encourage them to listen to this episode. Tom Halliburton.
Hey, Mr. Jackson, how are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, it's been a long time since we spoke.
I know. I'm excited to catch up and hear how things are going. You remember we're part of the Breakthrough Blueprint case study program that we did a couple of years ago.
That's right.
Several years ago now. Holy cow.
It was, yeah. It was more than that. I think 3 to 4 years ago, I think. The I Love Marketing thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so, that's right.
I'm very excited. We got the whole hour to hatch some evil schemes here. And why don't you kind of set the stage, kind of give a little bit of context here, and then we'll figure out what kind of evil schemes we can hatch.
Sure, Dean. Yeah. Okay. So I was working with I think when I spoke to you the first time, I was working with 2 or 3 restaurants, doing a little bit of marketing for them, websites, stuff like that, bit of SEO, and the idea was to set up an email marketing kind of thing for the restaurants. Obviously fill the diners in the restaurant more often. And it kind of I've been working with one restaurant mainly because he was right into the idea of this. It's quite hard sometimes trying to convince other restaurants. They're always interested in kind of, these services that give them booking sort of thing. So it's sometimes quite difficult to convince them of sort of building a database, which is really what my service is. But over the years, working with this one restaurant mainly, just to put you in the picture, I work full time for a stationery business as well, and 2 of my friends run that. So I kind of do the restaurant thing on the side, but basically over the years, it kind of evolved, and it really turned into sort of more birthday. The birthday promotions were much more popular.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think possibly it's such an over. There's so many people doing restaurant marketing that kind of wanted to find another angle, and but the birthday marketing felt good. But since I was working full time, I've never really taken it any further, Dean. I've just been testing on this one restaurant, and I'm still working with them closely on the side. But kind of got lost in my full-time job, and it really listening to your episodes, More Cheese, Less Whiskers, kind of inspired me to really think, I've got to take this further because there's really something in it. And
I think so. I love it when you get you've got an idea and you kind of keep coming back to it, and it just won't let go. And you're determined, there's something there, and you just got to crack the code, right?
You're absolutely
right. You said something interesting about this whole, the biggest obstacle you have, of course, is convincing the restaurant owners that this is something that makes sense and that works. And it's
That's
really
absolutely right.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you may have heard me say before that sometimes it's less expensive to get the result for somebody than it is to convince them to give you money to get the result. And
Yes, I've heard that from you.
and so I think there's something to that, though, especially in this situation, and I think most restaurants, when you really think about it, they're very during unit oriented. They're not very, they don't do a lot of marketing or really think about their business in terms of an after unit. They think about most restaurants have people come in and they, order food and they have a great experience, hopefully, and the food is great and it leaves an impression and they leave and hopefully they come back. And they get word of mouth and maybe they do some Groupon offers or some coupons or buy one, get ones or some things like that to try and increase the traffic that they get. But they're not proactively kind of building any equity, Yeah. Have you found that with the restaurants that you have had these conversations with, that, and even the restaurant that you work with, that's the case, or what's your observation been?
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with one restaurant owner in particular, and he just didn't get this idea of doing this, and he even said something like, these are our customers. Why do you want to sort of record them on a database and sell the service back to me, sort of thing? I was trying to convince him, and he talked about the fact that they had kind of 1,500 names and addresses written down, and he was going to contact them all. And I was saying to him, we chatted about the logistics of actually doing that. That many people, that many names and addresses, having to write out postcards or letters to invite these people back in. You're going to need a full-time member of staff in order to do that. And he just couldn't quite get it. That at the touch of a button, we could do this. Well, I mean, I did convince him eventually, but it was like pulling teeth. But the other restaurant owner I work with, he totally gets it, and we do really well, and he loves the fact that he's got a good database now, and sometimes we get really good results. Some other promotions we don't, but yeah, I think in general, I think they do. I was thinking of the best way to maybe convince them, and I've gone over a few of the profit activators, and I'm thinking about going down the book route. The 90-minute book, your service there, and that might be a good way to start off. Just to get the word out there.
Part of the best way to start off is to have what I call a scale-ready algorithm. That you've got to have something that that you can deploy at an ROI with 100% certainty. That's the main thing that is that drives everything. And so what I mean by that is that you've got one restaurant right now that will kind of let you experiment with them, and the one that you've been working with. What kind of results are you able to document? What have you got so far that that you could do if a restaurant owner would just get out of the way and let you do what you can do?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I would say at its best. I mean, well, okay, I'll give you the figures. I mean, I've got a database of about 1,100, and then probably another 500 sort of people who booked as well, which so I would say 1,700 in total. But I would say the best kind of results we were getting, because I've segmented my database into birthday months, and you know, it was probably about a couple of years ago, and you know, I saw I was sending it out to just one month in particular, the birthday promotion, and it was like 38 emails were in that particular month, and over that month, it was difficult to track exactly because not everybody was booking online.
Right.
But you know, I spoke with the restaurant owner, and you know, he said he had 20 actual bookings. You know, from those 38 emails, which I thought was really, really good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say that was at its best, Dean. You know, it can be a lot less than that some months. But you know, everything, the open rates of the emails is really, really high as well. You know, it's up there about 60%. Certainly for the first email open rate, and then sort of I do a follow up near the end of the month.
Sure.
Which is, you know, a little bit lower, but 35% or so on average. But you know, it's difficult to give them an exact figure, you know, an exact percentage of what they would get in bookings.
Right.
But you know, I would say around about, you know, I can't really give
What's the offer? What were you sending? What was the offer in the email to the?
Well, the offer was pretty good. It was basically a bottle of house wine or house prosecco, okay, which was maybe quite generous. And you know, it wasn't a bottle of good wine or anything. You know, it was a special bottle of prosecco that had been, you know, been brought in for this job, sort of thing, because you know, they charge a bit of money for the normal prosecco, but you know, it seems to be working really well.
And what's the cost of that?
The cost of that was about £5. What, $7 or something maybe?
Yeah.
So
£5,
so
right.
you know, you would go and buy that at the cash and carry.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, there's always the flip side. Well, if they're drinking that bottle, then they're perhaps not going to be ordering another of the deluxe bottle that they've got. And
right.
I know, you know, they make a lot of money out of selling alcohol as well. So,
right. Well, part of it, you know, when you look at the offer, it's important that there is a way to that you do measure this stuff. You know, especially when you're doing, you know, what I call your N of one study, where you're like, this is the restaurant that we're using as the prototype here to document. Nothing is going to be as convincing as a real experience. That's the firsthand thing that is the most convincing. But the second most convincing is the truly data-driven documentation of the experience of somebody else just like you, right? So you take one restaurant owner, you know, who is looking at what happened with a restaurant similar to theirs, you know, with a similar kind of scenario. They say, well, this is what happened, you know. So if you look at that 20 bookings that month and what the average, you know, number of people that came and the average ticket, you know, how much they spent, that's valuable data. Did he track any of that for you, or he just kind of anecdotally told you, well, we had about 20 bookings?
Yeah, it was more like we had about 20 bookings.
But does it, you know, it's interesting that is it 20 bookings of, you know, that 6 people came, or you know, 20 bookings of 2 is different, right?
Yeah.
And that's more likely that a group of people came on a birthday, you know?
Exactly. I mean, I get, I get like notifications for all his bookings, so I can see exactly when there is a birthday booking, and I would say the average is about 3 or 4 people, which I can see. Obviously, if it's just 2 people and you're giving something away like a bottle of prosecco or something, that's not ideal. I mean, they have to order a minimum sort of thing, but
my
plan, I've got ideas to increase the size of the booking. But really, to answer your question, no, I don't have data telling me exactly. Well, apart from the notifications that come through, and I can see if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. But I would say the majority of people tend to just come into the restaurant, and they will, they may phone up from the street somewhere, and they will come in and show the email that they were sent when they joined the birthday club. So it's not always easy to track, exactly.
Right.
I guess with a lot of different staff in there as well, it's not always the owner who's dealing with it. So
right, I gotcha. I mean, certainly an easy way to do this in a way that we used is the idea of a gift card, and that is just so simple for everybody to understand. It's also simple to monitor because it just is given at the time. It's not, there's something, physical that is handed in along with the check or the ticket, So it's an easy way to measure. But it was really interesting that, I've done some work with restaurants and birthdays in particular, right? Because I had some experience with my postcard guys, the guys I do all of my all my postcard printing and mailing. And I think you've probably seen that when we did the big birthday surprise postcard, which was a big win, and I'll just kind of tell that story here because it'll be interesting for people who are listening or maybe haven't heard it, but it'll illustrate something else that I think is going to be valuable to you right now. So I went to my postcard guys here in Florida, and I do all my postcard mailing and printing with the same guys. They have lists and we do it all. And they were asking me, one of the divisions that they have was a division that was doing birthday marketing. And they were doing custom birthday postcards for restaurants and spas to mail to people who were celebrating a birthday that month within a mile or 2 miles or 3 miles of your business. And so that was a sort of trigger data kind of driven thing. Do you have that available in the UK where you can buy lists of people who are celebrating a birthday that you didn't collect at your restaurant kind of thing? Like, is that,
I'm not sure, Dean. I've never actually inquired about that. I mean, I know that I'm sure there'll be data companies that have, that information.
Yeah.
So I know that would be interesting. Get it on Facebook. Yeah,
certainly you can get it on Facebook. Absolutely. So that may be a cool thing to test. So that, knowing that data, what most of the restaurants were doing is they were sending a birthday card to people and offering them a buy one, get one, like 50% off, or a buy one entree, get another entree free. And all those offers, this is what's really interesting. This is where I have to try and sort of intervene for people, just to understand the psychology of the economics of it, that the restaurant owners are typically very concerned about hedging their bets, about not being taken advantage of, right? They want to, and you hear it in their thing, we don't want to give them too much, or, that kind of thing, where they want to win in the transaction,
Yeah.
And so a buy one, get one sort of thing makes it feel like they're at least getting one entree, and then they're giving somebody else another one, right? Which is, they're at least getting some money. But in the context of a birthday, it doesn't seem like a gift to give someone a coupon,
Okay.
And so I had them just go through the economics of, what if instead of a buy one, get one, you gave somebody a gift card? Just give them a 20-pound gift card.
Okay.
Now, when you look at it here in the States, most of the time, the cost of food is about a third, or 25% or so, of the total price that they charge. The markup is something like that 5-pound bottle of wine. They may charge. What would they charge for that at the restaurant?
Yeah, I would say anything from sort of 12 to 20 pounds. I would have thought.
Exactly right. Right. And so the way that what I suggested to them was to give somebody a $20 gift card. And that's a big difference, because now you've got something in of value. You've got something that is a tangible thing. And it's really interesting the way that the psychology that you have to kind of go through with a restaurant owner, to just kind of go through the math of it. When you look at what the economic value of the lifetime value of a new client is, a new customer, how often they come back, and you've got to kind of have to be able to measure that in some way, whether you're paying attention to it, how often people come back, and so you look at what the trade-off is. If you get somebody who is going to come into your restaurant, say 10 times a year, or 12 times a year, or maybe 20 times a year, come in twice or 3 times a month, you could have somebody, right? And depending on what the context of the restaurant is, or what the, if it's a specialty restaurant, or if it's like a more of an everyday type of restaurant. But the value of that is huge. And so when you look at it, it depends on how they're positioning in their mind the value of those relationships. And so tell me about the restaurant that you work with right now. Are they, what type of a restaurant is it, and what's the context?
Sure. Well, it's a Mexican restaurant, kind of casual, in a really, really busy part of Edinburgh. Sort of family place, not too fine dining or anything like that. Just very open, welcoming, yeah, I mean,
casual Mexican, independent.
yeah,
It's like an independent restaurant.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, family owned. Really, really nice. Chilled out place to be. Really.
Yeah, love it. And
yeah.
so when you look at it, that it's the kind of place that, how often would you say it would be the kind of place that somebody might go to?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I've thought about this a lot. I mean,
yeah,
you get so many people who dine out a lot. They love to try different places.
Sure.
I just don't have that data to you try to work that out. But I don't think. Well, I mean, I don't go back to the same restaurant all that often personally. But I mean that doesn't mean anything really. It's just it's quite hard to get across the board sort of figures.
Sure.
But when you say this gift card, you're saying a £20 or however much gift card.
Yeah.
You're saying you're physically giving them the card.
Yeah.
And they're coming in, and that just goes to credit against their bill.
That's exactly right. And there's part of that. Yeah, part of that thing. It's essentially the same. It's essentially the same thing, right? But it has such a different perception than you buy something. It's like the restaurant owner when you're offering somebody a buy one get one, or a discount on your second thing. It's like when you're hedging the bet in a way. You're saying that I'm only giving away this meal after somebody's already bought one, so they're kind of like protecting themselves in a way, and part of the economics of it, it's really interesting because we did, and I love to experiment with this kind of stuff, that when we went to the gift card model, we sent out a birthday postcard that just looked like, I had their designer, and I'll post it in the show notes for everybody listening, that it looked like just a birthday card. I wanted to create something that looked like the office birthday party kind of thing, like, a bunch of people around a table with a banner and a cake. It's a cartoon. And the big banner says, happy birthday, Tom. And then on the back, I had it look like a standardized thing. One of the cartoons from the front with a dialogue box. And I said, I want the dialogue box to look like the part of this that you can personalize, right? So we're creating this idea that the people at the office got together and got you something for your birthday, right? So we had the dialogue box said, happy birthday, Tom. We all got together and got you something super terrific, Jay.
Yeah.
And then they go to bigbirthdaysurprise.com, or I think that was the domain name that they were using, and with your name on the URL, right? So it'd be bigbirthdaysurprise.com/Tom Halliburton. And that way, when they went there, they would get they would see the letter with the gift card. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And so one of the things that we did, and we experimented with this, I was doing as a little study with this, there was a cafe right in front of my office building. I actually bought my office building because it was right behind this cafe that I would go to every day. And so I thought this is very convenient for me, right? Yeah, because it was a great little spot, and I love to go there in the mornings and have coffee and breakfast, and then I could just walk back there, and there's my office building. And so, there were a lot of people who did that. A lot of people who were there every day, regulars. And so I said to the girls who owned the restaurant or the cafe that, I got them to agree to this philosophy of let's give somebody something that's going to be a benefit for them, whether they buy anything or not, right? When you give people the opportunity to win, they appreciate that, right? Like even a $5 gift card, which I got them to take this idea and later in one of the local publications print a $5 gift card right in the publication, right? They were terrified of this, that you could, somebody, it was just like printing $5 bills in their mind, right? Yeah. That everybody, what if everybody brings it in? I said, how great would that be? Let's do the math on that. If everybody came in with their $5 gift card, I said, and we did added some personality to it where it was, and the headline on the ad was, here's $5 to try Cafe Latte's award-winning espresso drinks or anything on the menu. We talked all about it, and here's, we're over here, and this is the, we have the best coffee in Winter Haven. No kidding. Yeah. 5-time People's Choice Award winner for Winter Haven. And, so it was legitimately the best coffee in Winter Haven, and we'd love you to come in and try it. And here's a $5 gift card. You can get anything you want with it. Sure. And so, but people, so they could come in with that $5 gift card and get a mocha and a breakfast cookie and never give you any more money, or it might put them over by $1 or something, right? But the odds of somebody doing that are so low. When that they're going to come in, and it really is the best coffee they've had, and it really is great. Now, often what happens is people will come in and they would buy a coffee, and then they'd, like I said, buy a breakfast cookie, or they'd buy a breakfast sandwich, or they'd come at lunchtime and they'd have lunch there, whatever it was. It was so unlikely that people come in and just use the $5 card and leave. And more often, it was people going, I never knew this place was here. I've always wanted to come in here. And, because it's kind of off the beaten path a little bit. And so people would go, oh, yeah, this is beautiful. And then they would come back again and again and again. So you win a new customer, And it got to where we I finally got them over the board. We did the best birthday ever free coffee for a month card. And it was the offer where we did a full letter on the website for it that had a picture of the girls outside the cafe and saying, you're going to have the best birthday ever. This is what we did with the postcard. We'd mail to people who are having a birthday this month within 3 miles of of Cafe Latte, and offer them the best birthday ever free coffee for a month card. And it was essentially, here's who we are, this is what we have, and you're going to love it, and we want you to come in and get free coffee every day for the entire month of your birthday. And so you think about that, like their cost for a brewed cup of coffee is like 30
Not
cents.
much, yeah.
Right, 30 cents for a free cup of coffee. So the absolute worst possible case scenario is that somebody comes into the restaurant every day they're open and takes the coffee with nothing else, not a muffin, not anything.
They have the brass neck to do
you're
that.
out the grand sum of $10, right, for every single day for the month. But you'd have a story to tell. You'd have a story to tell about that, because nobody would ever dream of doing something like that,
No.
But then we would beef it up, and we had pictures. We would say, plus, you'll get a chance to win one of 3 new cars. And which one will you choose? And we had pictures of a sports car and a luxury car and an SUV. And then right in, big letters right on the pictures with an asterisk, it said, cars shown approximately actual size. And they were little model cars that we had photographed in the parking lot from the ground, so that they looked like real cars in situation, And then when people would come in, we had them on display at the cash register, right, where it was part of the best birthday car giveaway, And it was just a funny thing, because it was so tongue-in-cheek, it was very, it was real, but it was also
just a bit of fun as well.
It was a bit of fun. That's exactly right. And you make it okay for people to come in, and you make it a fun situation. And that, I just think that you can't, the whole point of it, the whole point of a business, and a restaurant specifically, is to get and keep customers, right? To get and keep those relationships. So I think that if you can, the first job is to get people to realize that the best asset that they have is their own food at a discount, right? They have their rate on the goods and services that they offer, right? Any business. You've got wholesale access to your own goods. And that goes for restaurant consultants as well, by the way, that you have access to your knowledge for free. It doesn't cost you anything to give somebody that knowledge, right? And so consultants are often in the same way protecting the asset that they have, which they perceive is the value, is the knowledge, right? But the knowledge itself isn't what the value is. The knowledge is the result. That's what creates the value, right? So you get into this chicken and egg kind of situation where, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And it's always, the value isn't created until the egg is hatched,
Yeah.
And so
I see that.
So when I say to people that if you say your biggest obstacle, or your biggest thing is trying to convince restaurant owners that this will work, the thing that they are 100% willing to accept is new people coming into their restaurant. Especially if they're not at capacity, right? When you look at your Mexican restaurant, what's the name of this Mexican restaurant? So whenever we're in Edinburgh, we can drop by and see it.
Yeah, it's Mariachis.
Mariachis. What a great Mexican name for a Edinburgh restaurant. Okay.
Absolutely.
So we'll go to Mariachis in Edinburgh whenever we're over there. Next time I go to St. Andrews, I'll pop in. And so we'll tell them that we heard all about their what's their specialty? What's their best thing? What are they famous for?
What are they famous for? Well, they got great burritos and
Okay.
I don't know if he really promotes something he's actually really famous for, but
that's a whole nother conversation.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just writing that down just now. Just on that last point, Dean. You know, when you were saying about the free coffee every day for a month campaign sort of thing that you did. How did you sort of market that? I mean, like, did you hand? Was it in a newspaper? Did you say?
No, we did. This was a. We got a list of. I was experimenting with this for my postcard guys who were doing the birthday prospecting. Right, their idea
so you were
was,
sending, yeah.
So they asked me while I was there consulting about something else. They said, "What about this? How can you get more people to redeem these? How can we get more results from these birthday cards that we're doing?" It was just sort of a while I'm there, let's think about this too. And I said to them, well, part of it is how are you measuring success, right? What are you saying? What's the win here? Like they were saying, how can we get more people to go to the Pearl? That's what they were, the personalized URL. That was their thing, right? And I said, and that's when I sketched out that idea of let's add some mystery to it and make it a gift, right? And so there was no mention of the restaurant on the on the actual card, and there was no indication of any sort of commercial intent of it. It looked just like a birthday card, right? It wasn't like all the other birthday cards that they were doing. The winning card was a card that Hooters restaurant was doing. Do you have Hooters in the UK? It's like a bar.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, it's like a bar, and they have all the college girls in short shorts, and it's as servers.
I wish they did.
Well, there's one. I think it's called the tilted kilt or something like that. But anyway, the thing was they had all these Hooters girls on the front of the card, and it said, because these are digital variable cards, so it could say, "Hey Tom, come celebrate, come party with us on your birthday." And that was the winning card that would get 8%, I believe, of the people who got the card to come to the URL, to the Pearl. That's what they were measuring, right? Because that's how they could. Same kind of issue with the restaurants. They were having a hard time getting tracking data, right, of what happened. So I suggested this idea of making the card look like a gift in itself, right? So it was "Happy Birthday, Tom" on the front with the people, a cartoon of the people from the office basically in the kitchen with the birthday cake and surprise, "Happy birthday, Tom" with your banner. And then the little dialogue box on the backside of the card said, "Hey, happy birthday, Tom. We all got together and got you something super terrific." And I wanted that to look like the only element of this that you could personalize. And that's what they chose to write in there, So we did it in like Courier font and made it, clearly look like it was something that was fill in the blank sort of thing. And we got that card got over 30% response. I think it was 32 or 36% response to the card. And so it's really, then when they went there, they would see this, the explanation of the birthday thing that I shared with you for cafe latte, because I was like, when I'm experimenting with something, we do it to document some results,
Sure. Yeah.
Now, that solved another big problem for them, which was now they didn't have to do a custom card for every restaurant. Now they could do the card, and they could, when you go to Big Birthday Surprise, they could have 6 different gift cards that you got to download. So they could syndicate a birthday mailing, right? So you could do that same thing where, mariachis could be the exclusive if they wanted to and bought into it, or they could, you could do it with 5 other restaurants, and have different gift cards from the other restaurants too.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Right. So then it's like the cost of it goes down, or it's spread out over a few people, and you're only mailing 1 postcard.
Okay.
So
yeah, I need to check this out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be an interesting thing, because now you're getting into just getting the result for people, right?
Yeah.
But that, imagine if the mariachis did that, where it's the free tacos for your birthday tacos for a month or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Where somebody could come in and get a taco, every day for their birthday and win a. I think it's one of those things
or
that
even
could be
once
fun.
a week or something.
Yeah, once a week. That's right. Every week for your birthday month.
Yeah. So I'm just scribbling down this all.
Yeah. Plus, win one of 3 new cars.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, very good.
It's pretty funny, but that kind of thing, is that's an opportunity for going outside of your restaurant for celebrating birthdays, or within a radius of the restaurant. That's a great way to bring in new people who you wouldn't otherwise have had. Now, the other thing is that part of having a collecting names and emails is that it's an asset that you have, where when you could now start making offers to that list, like every week. So what I would share with the girls, the Cafe Latte girls, with to do things like email out to people. Every now and then, Christy would make this chili that was really good. So here in Florida, it doesn't get cold very often, but when there's a cold snap, like a few days in a row, we call it winter. Where it gets into the 50s, maybe during the day, or in the low teens or whatever in Celsius. And she would send out an email and say to people, "Hey, I'm making chili today if you want to pop by for lunch." And then she'd get people would come because she is making chili today. Oh, that sounds perfect on this kind of a day or whatever. Or they'd have these special dinners. They'd have these special dinner events where they never really opened at night, but maybe once a month or so, they would have a special dinner by invitation only or by reservation only. And they would send out the email and say, "Here's what we're doing for dinner on this date." And we'll have, they would have some local musician come. And so it was really nice. They have, it's a small venue. So they only could have maybe 40 people at the most, And so it would be sold out always ahead of time, and they could count on that, And then they would do things like cooking classes. And so you build this community of people, right? Like the mariachi Mexican family kind of thing, you could have, where because it's kind of, I think you could have a lot of fun with that, because there's a lot of interesting juxtaposition in, Mexicans in Scotland,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I see where you're going with this. Yeah, I mean, it's just about involving the community more. And I also think about sort of calendar dates as well. Special days, right. Like Burns Night and obviously Valentine's.
Right. And that's the kind of thing. And maybe you start, and so Chris, you would experiment with things like, you may have heard me talk about the breakfast cookie, which is the perfect
I was going to ask,
example.
Is that the same restaurant you were talking about?
Yeah.
That was on I Love Marketing, wasn't it? That was a funny video.
Of course, because it's so like, she was just such a sponge for marketing and would love to experiment with things, and we got to talking about that. The breakfast cookie, that is perfectly a naming phenomenon, like who's going to order a cookie for breakfast unless it looks like it's got granola, unless it looks like it's like oatmeal and all this stuff. There's no difference. It's a cookie, right? But to say because it's got raisins and it's got oatmeal and granola type of things looking in it, it looks like that makes sense, right? So to call it a breakfast cookie, it looks like a granola cereal or something, in a cookie format. And it was that was always a winner right from the beginning. And then after 2 o'clock,
a lunch cookie.
After 2 o'clock, they became freshly baked cookies because she'd make them in the afternoon, right? So she'd make them in the afternoon, and they're freshly baked cookies in the afternoon. And then in the morning, they're wrapped up and they're breakfast cookies that you can go. And
just the same recipe.
Yes. And then she would do these grab and go lunches where she would pre-do things and keep them behind the or in the kitchen or in the display fridge where you could grab and go a lunch, and to think, so if mariachi is in the downtown area, if it's in a business district or whatever, that imagine you start thinking about that what if you have this email list and you had a thing where people could come pick up Mexican dinner, like you have a takeout sort of situation or a express.
Invent a cool name for it, a sort of a Mexican Scottish name for it, and just invent something that's funny.
The haggis burrito.
Exactly. Yeah. Could have a lot of fun with that for sure.
Well, exactly. But that's part of the thing, is that you got to make that kind of thing fun, and you got to make it feel like you're part of the of a community. You're an insider.
Yeah.
There's so much, to that, and all of that. I think that you've got the opportunity. You got this one restaurant is like to let them kind of let you really experiment and go wild with things that you can do. But it's important that you start documenting them, and then when you know what's going to work, like I know that giving away a gift card is measurable and you can see what happens, and then it just becomes in a controlled kind of an environment. How many of those can you give away, and then when you've got that, there's so many different things that have value? Like if you, do they focus on getting reviews, getting Yelp reviews, or getting, is there a specific Scottish app that reviews restaurants or a local thing, or what's the...
Yeah, we have TripAdvisor, pretty popular over here.
TripAdvisor, so, there you go. Because Edinburgh's totally a tourist place, right? I mean,
it's crazy tourist place.
Yeah. And so a lot of those people are your only, a lot of those people, you may really ever only see them once. But you've got to be able to, in that target marketing, be able to identify that, you've got a strata of different types of potential clients. So you've got the people who, this is one of the neighborhood restaurants, right? Like they live right here in the neighborhood and it's walking distance, like all the people within a mile of the restaurant kind of thing. You've got the people who work near there, right? All of the local businesses within kind of the couple of blocks of that. Then you've got the as a destination, what's driving people to that restaurant over others. And it's just important that, the keeping building a relationship with the people who are locals,
Yeah, exactly. Aye.
Who are regulars. That's really what really a restaurant is kind of built on.
Yeah. Dean, could I ask you? I've got an idea that there's several ways to do stuff, but in the actual restaurant itself, okay, when some diners come in, and they've had a great meal, and it's getting towards the end of the restaurant, and the end of the dinner, and I had an idea of maybe like a referral card, and I know you're really big on referrals. And I was thinking of sort of text and, how to sort of position that. And if they were maybe ordering their coffee or whatever, liqueur or something like that, they could be presented with this sort of referral type, business card type size card. And I was thinking of it something, that it says on the front, say something like "Love birthdays?" ? Then you'll love, mariachi VIP, whatever,
Well, I think I think that I've talked a lot about that idea of mapping out the experience, right, of somebody going to a restaurant and, starting with is mariachi the kind of place where people make a reservation for dinner, or as a walk-in?
They do both.
Okay. So, conceivably then, starting from the moment somebody makes a reservation, that starts the during unit, the client experience timeline, right? So that starts when they make the reservation. Then you look through each of the benchmarks along the way. So the next major benchmark would be that they are arriving at the restaurant. And then they are getting seated. And then they're brought menus and they're thinking about what they're going to have, and then their order is taken. And the food or the order gets placed in the kitchen, and they're waiting then for the food to arrive, and then they have their meal and everything's okay. Then they get their option to have dessert or not, and they get the check, and then they leave, right? And I've thought that the best time to present something like a birthday club would be in the time between when their order is taken and the food is coming. That you could, they would just train the servers to come back to the table, which they always do anyway, to kind of refresh the water and tell them, okay, your food's in, it should be out shortly, and say, listen, if you'd like to join our mariachi birthday club, we can celebrate your birthday tonight with some cake, and you get a $20 gift card on your birthday, and give them the card to fill out, and that would give you some number greater than zero of the people who are presented that option to fill out and give you their contact information. So how many people would come through mariachis on a typical night or week? What would be the kind of
I know on a Friday and a Saturday night, they'll get over 100 sort of bookings.
Perfect. Yeah.
I would have Monday.
So they may get 500 people a week, right? If you're saying potentially.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
All things told, are they open for lunch as well?
Not every day, but they're open. No. Thursday to.
Well, let's say what Sunday. It is. I mean, if it's is it? It could be 300. It could be 400. It could be 200, 500, whatever it is. Some number of people, plus or minus, are going to come through their restaurant on a weekly basis, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you look at that, is one metric that would be interesting to pay attention to is what percentage of capacity is that?
Okay.
Like if you look at the opportunity of how empty tables, right? They're getting no revenue on empty tables. Would you say that it's, even on a Friday or Saturday night, would you say that they are 100% at capacity, or that they are
probably 75? Because you maybe have the restaurant full at some points of the evening, and then they're going to.
So if you take into account that if they had, if they on a Friday they could have 2 turns of the tables, right? That they've got an early dinner and a late dinner, that they could possibly turn that table 2 or even maybe 3 times in an evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
So you look at that, and it's kind of an interesting exercise for you to think through that sort of metric-based approach to it with the restaurant owners in a way, right? That you're thinking their current metrics are that they had this many tickets and it brought in this much revenue, and there's a potential for this times whatever number of tickets. It could be that they're overall at 50% or less, maybe, if you take all of the available seatings, lunch, dinner, whatever, and start to look at that as the goal, right? And if you look at it, that there's a really interesting approach of looking at it as that they're losing that amount of money. I have to tell a story about Jamal Aziz, who was the GM of the MGM Grand. And that was one of the things that he would do, is he'd look at things and say, how high is high and where are we now? And he would count the gap as a loss.
Sure.
So if you if you just said that you have the restaurant has the capacity to serve 800 diners through the course of the week in all the openings that they have, and that they're currently serving 400 diners, and that is generating, on average, a $8,000 week or whatever for the restaurant, that they're losing $8,000 a week by not being at capacity.
Yeah, 50%.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you look at that, it's like that's a different level of communication. It's like they're not, you're getting them to get into this idea of, well, how high is high here, you know? And now it becomes a different thing. But I think that idea of presenting the birthday club right there on the spot, while at that moment, I think, is the right time. And having some, and testing it one way versus another. That's the great thing about being in a live, constantly refreshing environment like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've tested table cards, you know, with like QR codes.
Yeah.
You know, and that worked okay because, you know, people love their smartphones. They're sitting around waiting, and they see this card in the middle of the table, and they, you know, they make it easy for them to sign up.
Yeah.
That's been quite good.
But what if, but if they hand it to them and they have that explanation, and it's interesting, what if when they came that they asked people, where are you from? Or have you been to mariachis before? And if they're tourists, what if you made it a thing where there was some fun thing that they could take a selfie and post on this review site that would get them a free dessert, to make this a fun thing, you know? So you're segmenting the audience right there in the moment, you know?
Yeah.
Because that would be a really great TripAdvisor thing. Like, imagine if it's the, you know, the dominant Mexican restaurant in Edinburgh, you know, and maybe the only Mexican restaurant in Edinburgh for all I know. I don't know, but
no, there's quite a few.
Yeah, but
yeah,
you know,
even with the restaurant owner in the picture, in the selfie sort of thing, or no, that's good, some good stuff there. But just to finish on
a lot of these things. So for you going further with other restaurants is, once you have a magic trick, like I call, you know, my 9-word email is a magic trick that I know that anybody who's got a list right now, that we could send a 9-word email and generate amazing results right now. And so if you had a magic trick like that, where kind of, you know, you show them that one time, and you don't have to, part of the convincing thing, if you look at it, if you had data of, you know, how many people are celebrating birthdays, if you just took that one idea, how many people are celebrating birthdays around that restaurant, and you were to be able to say, listen,
as a percentage to the,
no, as a, you know, like what we would get for what we were doing with Cafe Latte and with the birthday prospecting, is we had data that would show us a list of everybody with everybody celebrating a birthday in that in the zip code where Cafe Latte was, right? So we knew that maybe you could select 100 people as a very controlled environment, right? And you could send out something like that on this restaurant's behalf. You know, this is why I say, you know, part of the thing clarifying is, what would you do if you only got paid if the restaurant gets a result? Right? That's where it comes down to it, right? It's what we knew, that people that were mailing these cards are getting a 5, 8, 10 times one return on investment. But to convince somebody of that is different. Whereas some restaurant owners, as a reasonable restaurant owner, any business owner, if they could double their money on something, that it would be a reasonable thing that they would do, you know? And so when you look at it, that you have all the economics, they have to understand the metrics of reallocating the lost opportunity that they have, and a little bit of money, Like even when you look at it, probably running a restaurant at 80% capacity or 70% or 60%, there's probably also an offsetting waste in food loss, of freshness or whatever, losing because it goes spoilage or it goes bad,
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you have to overstock for it's better. Most of them are going to have too much of something than too little of something, right?
That's right. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So if you get them to think about not that they're losing the retail cost of what it is that they're giving away, but that they're getting it at their lowest wholesale cost, and there's some factoring in there for that it's otherwise going to go to waste anyway. You start to think about that. It's turning those opportunities, especially for the local people, into a potential once a month or twice a month new customer for life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know, so many ways of doing this.
But what you have to be prepared to do is that you maybe have to be prepared to say, let me show you how this works. I'm going to go ahead and send out these postcards for you. You send out 100 postcards, even just to see, but you have to have a scale-ready algorithm. You have to know that if you send out 100 postcards or 100 birthday letters to people around the restaurant, offering them a $20 gift card on their birthday, and knowing, then having the restaurant owner, all they have to do is accept the gift card and tally up how many people came in with the gift card and what the total of those tickets were. And it's, there's no way for them to lose from that,
Yeah, I can see that. And so I'd be very confident in the future by offering that offer to the restaurant owner first.
Right. And then they've got a sense now that they would want to do that every month.
Yeah.
That they could do that for everybody for a year, for everybody within 2 miles of their restaurant. If you have that data, you just got to see if you in the U.S. we've got that data for birthdays. But for them, if you have it in the UK, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, I can easily find that out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just on that, on the, how you were talking about referrals as well, though. How you said the psychology is it makes you feel good to recommend somebody as well. Without necessarily being rewarded.
Yes.
But I just thought a referral card at the very end as well. Like I said, but on the back of the card, I thought it might be quite good to have something like, know someone you like with a birthday soon? ? Hand them this card and make them happy, or something like that. So it's kind of like a viral thing as well, and they can sign up as well through that. Do you think that would work as well?
Well, there's some. I mean, anything. Everything starts with an idea, and it's easy to test because you've got new people every day coming through the restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I think one of the things that would be valuable to start is to, when people, you start thinking about what are the assets when somebody calls to make a reservation, to get their cell phone and their email. And that way you gathering the contact information right there. That's part of your database. Then to differentiate between tourists, especially if you're in an area where people are coming in from all over, and to really celebrate that. And, if you had some fun like Snapchat filters or some Instagram overlay or a Facebook, for social media things that people that it would be remarkable enough that they would post and tag the restaurant in there, or you do it and put them up on the, where they're honorary Mexicans, honestly, in the mariachins or whatever, making it fun that you've got a tourist page, especially for people who are coming from out of town, and you make it kind of fun that they take this selfie that you've got to have your picture taken with the mariachi statue or something, that there's a wall, like a hero wall where you've got to have your picture taken here,
Yeah, they do that with the Mexican hats. They've got like 3 sombreros, and we could definitely do something, like that on the tourist page for sure.
Yeah.
But no, this has been great, Dean. I really appreciate all the ideas here.
So wrap it up for me. What's your takeaway? What's your thought here? What are you going to do because of this?
Okay, well, we're going to investigate the database. See if I can buy a list of birthday people local, and then look at the sending them a card, or to offices, or look at all the places that potentially could send them a card. And birthday cards. And then you've got your free coffee every day for a month, or free nachos once a week, perhaps, for the birthday. Definitely exploit the sort of what are you famous for aspect there. And we could maybe have a little bit of fun with sort of a Scottish burrito haggis. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's funny, right? Yeah.
Something there. Yeah, we've got to use the haggis aspect there, I think.
Or a deep fried Mars bar. Yeah.
You've heard of them as well. But the kilt aspect probably as well. I'm just looking at my notes here. So yeah, when you want once a month specials, I'm going to check out all the calendar dates, and we could do stuff with involving the community, like cooking classes, just having fun, basically.
That's what it is. That's eating out is fun.
Exactly. Yeah. And selfies.
Karaoke.
A lot of karaoke. Yeah. But yeah, that's fantastic, Dean. Really, really some good stuff there. So very much appreciated.
Awesome. Well, it was nice to catch up. I hope to hear some great success stories, and for sure when I'm in Edinburgh, I will pop by to see mariachis for sure. Yeah,
fantastic. Drop me a line, and I'd love to meet you.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Dean. I appreciate that very much. And
Thanks,
you're inspiring a lot of folk with your podcast here. It's
awesome. I appreciate it.
Something really good. Okay.
Have a great day.
You too. Take care. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, well, there we have it. That was an exciting episode. We got to talk about a lot of stuff. I'm going to post up on the morecheeselesswhiskers.com website the sample of the postcard that I was talking about that we did for the birthdays. And I think you'll see it's different than what a traditional kind of marketing postcard for a restaurant might be. And this is a very interesting exercise that we went through to kind of understand the value of unused assets that you and any business has. And one of those, which is often overlooked, is the access to your goods and services for free or at cost. And that deploying those to start a relationship are really sometimes the most valuable thing that you can do. That's really what it is, especially if you're in a situation where there's going to be an ongoing, long-term potential relationship with somebody, like somebody coming to a restaurant. There's a good chance that if you get somebody to come one time, if you're really great, you may become their all-time favorite restaurant that they go to every week or every other week. Or in some cases, like me with the cafe, they may become a regular fixture that you're there constantly. It's so much so that I bought my office building right behind the cafe that I would frequent. So, there's lots of opportunity there if you just get into leading with the giving hand. More cheese, less whiskers. You've got to be willing to go first. And that's true whether you're like Tom, trying to start a new relationship with a restaurant. You know what you can do for a business owner. You know what you can do to help them. And so why not give that away at first to start the relationship, rather than trying to convince somebody that you can get the result? Go ahead and get them the result, which is the most convincing thing that you could do. Once you convince them that you're able to get the result, it's easy to then document an economic value for that. That's that's the biggest thing about marketing, is understanding that what you're really fundamentally doing is you're setting up an exchange of money for goods or services, for a result, right? Not just the service, not just the goods, but the utility, the result of that. And if you're in a situation where the result of somebody working with you is crystal clear, if you're a consultant, if you're a business consultant, if you're in the business of generating more money as a byproduct of somebody's relationship with you, you win, because you've got the opportunity to give and create money that people are much more inclined to be willing to share. If they knew that with certainty, every time they give away a $20 gift card, this restaurant as the example, if they knew that every time they give away a $20 gift card, which may have an absolute hard cost to them of $5 or $7, or even let's call it $10 if you want to go crazy. If each time they gave away $10, it came back and it was that they made 50 or 60 or 100 or maybe even more dollars every time they gave away a $20 gift card, it wouldn't be long until they really buy into this idea. But you got to prove it. You got to be able to show them that. And think about for your own business, how that could work for you. What do you do? What's the thing that demonstrates your ability to get results for people? And then you offer them the opportunity to get that as an ongoing service that you could provide for people. So I just love this kind of stuff. I loved this episode specifically for that purpose. And I just am so happy that we're able to share this kind of podcast with you. So if you'd like to keep the conversation going, you can go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com and you can download a copy of the More Cheese, Less Whiskers book that will get you into our world here. And then you'll have other opportunities for us to maybe work together. And if that's something that you'd like to do, then there's lots of opportunity for us. You can find out how your business, where the opportunity in your business is, with our Profit Activator Scorecard. We talk about the 8 profit activators in this podcast, And that will give you an idea of where the biggest opportunity is. And you can download and go through the scorecard yourself at profitactivatorscore.com. And that will give you the scorecard and then 2 books that go along with it. We've got the Breakthrough DNA book that explains in detail the 8 profit activators, and the Profit Activator Scorecard, which kind of analyzes how all the elements in the scorecard work for you. And that's available for you at profitactivatorscore.com. I would love to carry on the conversation with you and to help you implement the more cheese, less whiskers philosophy for your own business. So I hope you join us and tell all your friends about the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast. That's it for this week. I will see you next time.